If you care about your brand, your positioning, or your long-term pricing power, this is a video that you can't afford to skip, because here's the truth. Every sales promotion that you run either compounds your brand or destroys it. There is no in between. And most founders, even experienced ones, get this completely wrong. Most Black Friday deals and holiday deals and sales promotions in general look good on the surface, but underneath, they're terrible for business. They're killing your authority, cheapening your positioning, and in some of the worst cases, training your audience to simply wait for discounts. And for those of you who run an info business or a service-based business, that's not just a mistake, that's a threat to your entire model. So today, I'll show you a smarter path, because you don't need a discount, you need a deal strategy. You need to create promotions that are brand safe. And in this video, I'll give you 11 of my favorite brand safe deal frameworks to apply as you wish. Which, by the way, reminds me, originally this video was something I was making as one of my regular videos I send out to my clients, but I've been wanting to try my own YouTube and take it seriously for a while now. And this seemed like a good first video, so if you end up liking it, getting value from it, and want me to do more like this, please subscribe. All right, so a lot of people here don't do discounts and they just jump to an extreme, thinking you either have to be this low-cost bargain brand or a premium high-trust brand that never does sales. But that's not the reality. It's really not that binary. The truth is, the biggest, most respected brands in the world run sales promotions all the time without damaging their brand. And sometimes it's happening in ways that you can't see, but most of the time it's happening in plain sight. You just have to know what you're looking at. Because when deals are designed correctly, they don't weaken your brand. They compound it and increase your market capital. And anybody can do this. It's extremely simple. But doing it comes from understanding that whenever you want to manufacture urgency or activate demand, you have to discount something. So before we get into my 11 favorite brand safe deal designs, I need to clear up the biggest misconception about discounts. See, the truth is, a discount is not a price change. A discount is any reduction in dimension of cost in exchange for action. Now, what does that mean? Most founders only understand one dimension of value, which is price. But perceived value is built on multiple dimensions, and you can discount any one of those dimensions without touching your price. You can discount time by offering faster access. You can discount the effort it takes by offering templates or even doing it for your customer. You can discount risk by adding different types of guarantees. You can discount access, friction, complexity, attention. Any lever that adds value or becomes an obstacle for value can be used as a part of a discount. So when it comes to companies that still look premium, even when they're running their sales promotions, no, they're usually not lowering their price, but they're lowering some other cost or increasing a benefit, if they're doing it successfully at least. Now, I have my fancy schmancy Figma board up because I want to go through these 11 frameworks. And this is how I usually do it for clients, so it's my comfort zone. Hopefully it's as helpful for you as it is for them. So number one, we have the perceived value ladder strategy. Now, you're probably familiar with the value ladder, even if you aren't familiar with the term specifically. So just to shortly explain it, small value, medium value, large value, and so on, right? All around us, there are companies that are using tiers, and they gate off levels of value within the context of doing upsells. And because we are selling up and we are going up the ladder, that means there's more value the higher you go. We're going to add more things on top of it. And this is where this strategy comes in. So the beauty is, instead of discounting, what I can do is take value from here and bring it on down here, right? Here and bring it on down here, or here, bring it on down here. What does that look like? Let's just say I only do one-on-one calls at this top level, right? Top level, there's one-on-one calls. I know that's a lot of different arrows that I just drew. And within the context of what I offer, one-on-one calls are actually valuable to my audience. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to make this tier right here cheaper, I'll change the color. Instead of saying I'll make this red dot tier cheaper, I could say, hey, for a limited period of time, I'm going to add one-on-one calls in for free. And you'll get access to this private event, and you'll get access to the beta release of my new software, and so on and so on. So instead of discounting a specific level, you're actually stacking the value of that. So you're increasing the value for a limited period of time. And I won't point this out for every single one of them, but that's a clear example of me not lowering the cost of the program price-wise. However, I do have an assigned cost for my one-on-one, or I could have assigned a cost for access to my event or beta access to my software. So I did sacrifice costs somewhere else. From the perception of the consumer though, you only stacked value, and that's where it matters the most. So you see this dynamic of lowering costs, but then also adding benefits. You'll see this over and over again in many ways, and this is one of my favorite. I mean, I know all these are my favorites, right? My 11 favorites, but this is one of my favorites of the favorites. You can see so many companies do this. Apple does this, where they might say something like, you get 3 months of Apple Fitness for free when you buy a new phone, or you get 3 months of Apple Music, or we're going to extend the return policy for a period of time. A company like that has a million different ways, right, that they can stack and add value without actually changing the product in and of itself, because you want to protect that product, whatever that core product is. So if you really want to get this stuff, watch the premium brands like Apple that are doing it successfully. It's the easiest way to spot it, because the discount brands like Walmart or whoever oftentimes will just go to price and leave it at that. They don't have to be as tricky about it because they've built bargain into their brand. It doesn't really deteriorate their brand. It actually affirms their brand. But most brands can't afford that, especially coaches, influencers, service providers, and anybody who's doing any type of hard labor exchange or not producing at scale. So this becomes a great thing for your brand, because not only are you stacking the value to avoid lowering the price, but that perception actually ties you to higher value experiences, because they get reminded that you have this other thing associated with it. And then the ones who actually take on the deal get to have this premium experience to associate you with. So it's a win-win all around. Now, let's get to strategy number 2. I call it the down-up strategy, and it's very simple. All you need is 3 elements. Now, what are those 3 elements? You need a before price, all right? You need an after price, and you need time in between. Now, what's happening here? You can do this 2 different ways. I can literally discount my actual product. I can go from $100 and say, in this limited period of time, it's going to be $80. We're actually going to give you a $20 discount. However, after this period of time, it's going to be $200. So you don't get the damage of a discount pricing wise. If at the same time you're communicating that you can buy it for less, you're also communicating that the price is going to go up. It's one of those moments where a discount truly actually feels like a favor for a consumer, because the signal of brand validation is so strong. If you're confident enough to tell me that you're going to go up in price and communicate that to people, you have more information than me, so there must be something to it. Let me get it now. And by the way, the other way you can do this same strategy is literally not reducing your price, but just communicating that, hey, our prices will be going up soon. So if you are not in, you might want to buy now. You'll see companies like Netflix do this when they say we're going to go up to $14.99 in 3 months. So get in now, get in where you fit in. But again, the beauty of this shows maturation as a brand. It shows that you're confident, you're growing up and saying, hey, we can't offer it at this price forever, guys. We got to go up to the next level, but we want to show some appreciation by letting those know now that if you want to get in, this is your time to do it at this price. It's going to be a little bit more expensive later. And the cool part about it is it plays off of the psychological principle of loss aversion, where people are afraid to lose something. And although they do not have the product, they now feel like they have the price or the opportunity of that price, and they don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So where the perspective initially was, do I want to lose money to gain the product? It's now, do I want to lose this price and risk paying more for it later? All right, so now number 3, the reframe the reason technique. Now, the big thing here is if people feel that you're thirsty, they know that there's desperation. They can sense it in the reason you're doing sale. You're only doing a sale because you need money. That's definitely going to ruin your brand. However, if you reframe it by giving a reason, then you now have the opportunity to change the narrative entirely. And that's the benefit of the reframe strategy. So what you'll see a lot of people do is say, hey, it's our 50th anniversary, or hey, it's my birthday, when we're talking about individual influencers and brands and coaches. And usually in that case, it's going to be a horrible thing, right? If you're like Macy's or some big department store, doing a 10th, 20th anniversary, like those bigger numbers, great. But if you're an individual, usually it's my birthday, kind of sucks as a reason, and people can sense it, because why are you all of a sudden selling this course at a low price just because it's your birthday? That just feels like, for my birthday, I want to figure out a way to make more money or something like that. It sucks. Now, that could be reframed though. Department stores like Sephora do this. Target does this. There's countless examples of stores that will reward their customers for their birthday. It's a lot more meaningful that way. But what are other ways that you can do this as well? Maybe you as a company hit a milestone and now you're doing some type of discount. That reads a little bit differently, because it basically says we just had success and now we're going to show love, right? So we're not doing it because we need success. We just had success, and this is an example. We just hit 10,000 customers, or we just made XYZ dollars. Or one of my favorite ways that I've seen this recently is Alex Hormozi. If you don't know him, he's very popular in like the business space. Now, one thing he did was a really big webinar. It was a huge event where he actually made $100 million from a webinar. One of the ways that he hit that number, because his goal was to hit that number as a point of proof, not just make a lot of money, but specifically hit at least $100 million. And to do something like that, it's not something that you leave to chance. You have to create as many ways as possible to hit that number. So one thing he did was say that he's trying to hit a Guinness Book World Record for the most amount of books that get sold in a specific period of time. And now that not only activates the value specific to the books that he's trying to sell, but he built a lot of goodwill in his community. So you get people that want to help him hit that goal. They're now thinking about contributing to his success and just contributing to the momentum of what they're seeing as well, because they might want to see or be a part of something that's very cool. That's one way to shift the narrative, or one way that he shifted the narrative specifically. Another way along the lines of that exact same goal is he decided that he was going to give away books as a part of a program to educate young entrepreneurs. And yet again, that shifted a narrative. So one, he's not just trying to sell books anymore. He's trying to hit a Guinness World Record. And then two, on top of that, he's giving you an opportunity to buy books that can be donated in your name as a part of a good cause. And him communicate as well that he has a goal of the amount of entrepreneurs that he wants to help educate for free by giving out his books. I can't remember the specific number, but two ways of shifting the narrative. And this is to hit the same goal. He did it 1,000,000 times throughout that specific webinar. But I love moments like this, because I always tell people an expert marketer never leaves things to chance. They will create as many levers to pull on as possible. And there are many campaigns that I've run where we've hit $200,000, $500,000, or on smaller scales, $5,000, $10,000. And I had full sequences of all these levers to pull on. And guess what? Sometimes you hit the number before you even get to the last one. But that's the level of paranoia that you need a lot of times to hit your goals, because there are also those cases where you needed every single last one of them. And I think people underestimate what it takes to win at the level that they're trying to get to, because they haven't had yet that experience. But the best way to account for that is just be paranoid and know that I need to pull on as many levers as possible, whatever I can think of. And every single one of these are like a backup generator, because momentum slowed. Oh man, I need to activate the second narrative. And now I need to activate the third narrative. The more you can do that, the better. And the reason I mentioned that here specifically is because it's one of the easiest ways to do it. So you can use all 11 of the elements that we're going to walk through right now as a lever, so to speak. And there's multiple ways to reframe how you're using that same lever. However, the easiest one to apply over and over again is simply reframing, because I'm not giving you any more effort if I just tell you, hey, I'm trying to hit a world record. I'm not giving you any more effort in terms of discounting something if I'm telling you also I'm going to donate these books to a good cause. So if things get tight and you need to figure out a place to do it, The reframe is one of the easiest ways to do it. You just have to be a little creative, but also you don't want to be full of it, because if you create a reason and people can, again, sense that it's inauthentic and they're doing it just to do it, that can be one of the most damaging things that you do. But to summarize this specific technique, you're basically turning sales moments into storytelling moments. You're now talking about something other than the sale itself. You're talking about something other than the product itself in many cases, which increases connection as a part of participation of a joint narrative. And now let's go back to those examples. Think about it. I personally can say, hey, guess what? I just donated 10 books to the youth if I participated in this campaign, right? And it doesn't always go that way. But that's one of the most powerful ways, when you not only change the story in terms of why they got to participate, but you give them a story to tell for and about themselves as a result of participating. Now let's get to number 4. All right, so number 4 is lower tier discounts. And it's pretty simple from the standpoint of, if you have multiple tiers, right? Small, medium, and large, you can discount the lower tier, the small tier, right? Whatever you call it, the basic tier, while leaving the pro and enterprise levels of your tiers untouched, so you sustain that value. And we see this yet again, so many places in the real world. A good example of that is clubs. So when you go to a club, a lot of times, what do you have? You got these velvet ropes, right, that are stand on the little poles. So it's the velvet rope, and then you got the big guy in the front, and he has muscles, right? He got all these big old muscles. And these things act as a barrier to keep you from getting in. That barrier from getting in could be the regular price. However, there could be nights where they say, hey, everybody gets in for free. It's a free for all for whatever reason. But what you won't see the club do is deteriorate the money that's inside the club, right? So you're still going to have to pay for the VIP section inside. You're still going to have to pay even more money for the private section. You usually don't see discounts on the VIP section or discounts on the private section in a club. However, you might see brand safe deal framework number 1 using the value ladder perception, where they will stack things. They will give you free bottles of alcohol as a part of being in VIP. There's a price to get in VIP. Maybe there's a normal package, but they might increase the value of that package, which they're making a ton of margin on in the first place, just for you to buy that thing for a period of time. So you see all of the elements, to be honest, in a club, right? So we talk about premium brands and also club, because it's all perception, all perception. You can even look at number 2 a little bit, the down up strategy. There's a couple things stacked into this, honestly, but when a club says, hey, if you get here before this time, you can get here for free, or it's only $10 before you get there before 11 p.m., but then after 11 p.m., it's $50, it's $100. I can honestly do this entire video on the club, but I will not. So another example is Adobe. They have their creative suite, Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, all of these editing tools. If you know, you know. They will never touch their business tier or their pro tier. You will usually get discounts on the individual solo tier or a student tier. You will see those tiers get discounts, but they're more premium tiers. You do not get a discount. And here's the beauty of this, though. It creates inclusivity without compromise. One of the most powerful things that you can do for your brand. Again, inclusivity without compromise. What do I mean by this exactly? If it's not clear, hey, I got more people in my club, yet I did not compromise the brand of my club, and I did not compromise the brand and perception of my most elite products, which are the ones that I make the most money from in the first place. So what's happening is I get an influx of traffic, a lot of users who I might not have even gotten before because they didn't even know about me until they heard about this deal, or they were on the fence. So I sped up their decision making, which is a lot of times who we're going to convert the most. Not necessarily completely new people who are going from first time awareness to purchasing, but those people who are on the fence and have enough awareness but need to be nudged. Because it doesn't work like this in all environments, but here's again an example with the club. If I get an influx of people and now my club is full, then you're going to have some people say, hey, let's just get a section because I'm around too many people. There's too many people around. Now, real world spaces work like that, right? In the physical world, but then on the digital world, it looks a little different. Maybe it's just more people experiencing your product. Let's say it's a digital product, it's a course, and now more people are finding that path of success. They have built the trust within your brand and see that it's working, and they've even made progress, and now they want access to the next level. So one way or another, that deal is actually helping compound your brand, is what we've talked about in the beginning. So this is why discounts done well actually can improve your brand, improve your sales, yes, but the entire brand experience if done correctly. But the tiering strategy only works if you have tiers. So we're going to keep moving. So number 5 is creating an event-based offer, meaning giving a discount to the product as a part of the event. And it seems a little similar to a couple of others on this list, but before there becomes a confusion, I want to be clear about the distinct differences. So for example, Peloton, a workout equipment company, does a deal where they have their New Year's resolution challenge. And as a part of that, they will give deals to the product. Now, this could seem similar to just saying, hey, everybody, it's a holiday, so we're going to give you a discount, right? It sounds like a reframe. And in a sense, it is. However, the clear difference is you are creating a sense of event for people to actually participate in. Sometimes it's a real event, which we'll get to. It's not just a reason to get the product for less. It's the implication that they will actually do something with this. So you're implying that as a part of the New Year's resolution event, you're going to use this to work out to hit your goals. So this type of event-based strategy will basically be storytelling that's specifically in line with the outcome that people use your product for. And that's the difference. It's not celebrating your customer's birthday. It's not saying that it's Black Friday. It's not saying that it's any of those things, because it's not only reframing the story for them to buy the product, it's encouraging participation, which goes back to that concept of actually compounding your brand through these strategies. Because if I encourage participation, that means I also increase the likelihood of results from my product if you have a quality product, which I can then use as testimonials. I can then use as increasing the brand equity with that specific audience. So people who do things like challenges, because that's essentially what the Peloton New Year's resolution is. And you see this with a lot of gyms, Orange Theory and so on and so on. It encourages community excitement. You get to really tap into those things. If you have a community, it really activates them. And if you don't necessarily have a community, you start to make people feel more communal because they're all participating in something at the same time. And then you're increasing your testimonials at the same time. So creating an event, especially at the beginner level, is extremely powerful. I even tend to call this the fresh start event-based offer, because you usually see this strategy used the most for people who are kind of novices at whatever the event that's being promoted, or at least looking at it as a fresh start, like some type of transformation. But now let's get to number 6. This is the live event attendance bonus strategy. So again, this is very different, right? Number 5 was about participating in an event, but you don't necessarily have to actually go anywhere. It's just psychological, something that's happening at this time. And it's about using the positioning of the event to actually get people to participate. This is a live event strategy where people are simply attending an event, and you limit the discounts or bonuses to people who actually attend the event. So it's not as much finesse as many of the strategies we've touched on thus far. There's no real storytelling to it or anything like that. You can make it more sophisticated where it does increase testimonials. It does make people feel value from the narrative that you told. But the reality is, it's simply, if you attend this event, you can get a discount. And because that's such a natural gate to the discount, it's hard to now associate all of the discounting with the brand as a whole. So it still protects it very cleanly. So events are immersive. You got this man, I drew like a little diving board. He's jumping into the waters of your experience. And because they're so deep in the holistic real world experience that you created, you're actually increasing your brand at that point, right? You're compounding the impact on them as an individual. There's so many touch points, your control of the experience 360 at that point. And even if it's not your event, still, if you're a part of their reasoning for attending that event in a substantial way, maybe you're sponsored or whatever, but they, for whatever reason, associate you as being the reason that they're at that event, you will gain the brand value. So any discount, again, will at minimum be negated if they're there and they have a good experience. They're still going to have a higher perceived value of your brand. So instead of desperation, it's tying the value to their presence and their participation. And even creates a sense of earned access, right? They literally had to do something to get this bonus. It didn't just get discounted out of anywhere. Did your parents just give you the candy, or did you earn the candy because you got straight A's on your report card? There's two very different stories you tell yourself in that scenario, and it's the same for the consumer. Expert tip, it's not about the stories that you tell, it's the stories that the consumers tell themselves. Your job is to get that story to be as close as possible to the story that you want it to be. Now for number 7. Private deal layers. This is the most used discount strategy by people who don't want to be perceived as ever doing a discount. You're talking about luxury brands, highbrow organizations, the elites. And it's as simple as this. Give deals, but do not give those deals in public. So, when a hotel says that this deal is only available to my diamond members, right? So you have to be a diamond member to get access to this deal. Or if you are in a group of VCs or hedge funds, they have all these different types of participation advantages. Like if you are somebody who put in $10 million versus $50 million, they might not outright say, hey, here's the deal. You might not even know about it up front. You will find out about it when you are the only person that got invited to the private event at the golf club that weekend, where all of the biggest power players that you don't normally have access to were in attendance. The presidents and CEOs of all types of organizations and countries were there. That's what you get when it comes to the VCs. The clubs, I think we know what that is, right? You go to the private room, and then whether legal or illegal, you hear about all types of things that become offers in the private room at a club that are not available in the rest of the club, right? Again, it's private. Hermes, for example, they never do public sales. However, their top clients, they might give something like an early preview to their next collection, or they might give access to special colors that nobody has access to at all. There's no public messaging about this at all. No one finds out except for the people who receive the discount in whatever form the discount comes, which makes this one of the most powerful techniques there is, which is exactly why luxury brands use it so much, right? Because you still remain elite, because it makes those people feel like they are deeper in the club. Those people feel like they are special. They feel like that you as a brand see them as special, so they feel closer to the brand. The public doesn't find out about it, so there's no way that your brand deteriorates with the public in that particular instance. And the person who receives it does not feel like you discounted any value. They feel like they got it because they are special. Or even if they don't feel like they are special, they feel like they are getting special treatment, which sometimes is even more powerful when the person that doesn't think that they're special feels like they're getting special treatment. You might see this at a restaurant where a waitress and the manager go out of this world in terms of service for a customer, and the customer isn't expecting anything like that, but the appreciation was that much more because there was a further gap between what the customer perceived and what they perceived they deserved, which is an entire other video. But you will have customers that get to a point where the abnormal now feels like something that they deserved, and you receive no additional brand growth from providing that discount. As a matter of fact, now taking it away has a potential negative impact, but you no longer get the impact of providing it. An entirely different problem to solve. But if you use the private deal layer correctly, you are going to get the benefit of the psychological impact of in-group favoritism. People love to be the insider and love to feel like they have status. And number 8, bundle by behavior, not price, which I also call the give a dog a bone strategy. Why do I call it that? Because you are literally rewarding people for their behaviors, and that is the entire strategy. And obviously, to achieve that level, they have to take on a set of behaviors. Maybe they have to watch all your courses to get to level 5. Maybe they have to comment on people or get good feedback. Whatever that is, it needs to be contextual to your company. And again, you always want a net positive in terms of the brand and company impact. So there's so many ways that you can benefit from this as a company, but there are 2 primary ways to actually deploy this strategy. Number one is the before, right? And the after is number two. All right. What do I mean by that? So if I'm talking about before, I'm referencing when they find out about the incentive. If they know about the incentive before doing the behavior, you are now using the incentive to help them achieve that behavior. And as a result, you are conditioning them. This is more the give a dog a bone side of the strategy. It's operant conditioning, which they use in scientific trials to reward for positive behaviors and give negative consequence for negative behaviors. So you're reinforcing the positive in this case because you want everybody to take it. Now, on the other side, you can also let people know about the strategy after. If you let them know about it after, then them achieving that behavior is not a result of them knowing about the incentive, obviously, right? However, you can give that incentive and then let everyone else know about the incentive and why you gave it to them, which still conditions the others to take positive actions because it shows that you appreciate or give benefit and see fit to highlight those positive actions. And you're doing this without promising new rewards in the future, but it does condition people and remind people psychologically that this is the positive action and there is reward for doing it, even if that reward isn't literally the reward you gave them. And this is a great thing to do when you have a couple of people who have case studies and you're like, how can I let people know about these case studies? Instead of just telling them about it, let me do something demonstrative that brings even more attention to it and then deliver the case studies through that mechanism. So now people find out about these awesome case studies, get a reminder that my product does work. And oh joy, in addition to the actual benefits of using the product, there could be some other surprise benefit as well, like playing the lottery when there's no chance of losing. It's only great and greater. So that's what you're doing with this, specifically when you go the route of not telling people about the incentive, but still giving an incentive to people who have achieved a set of behaviors. So it's similar to a private deal layer where a company like Hermes might give private access to an exclusive event or to see my next collection, except instead of just rewarding those people, you also tell everybody else about that reward. And it's great for your brand because it creates more culture and commitment. Now let's get to number 9, the new SKU strategy. Now, if you don't know what a SKU is, here's an example. The grocery store Trader Joe's carries all types of items that are considered unique SKUs to them. And they're pretty dogmatic about the fact that they don't want to carry things that everybody carries as much as possible. So if there is a frozen pizza brand that has a 12-inch pizza as their normal size that you find in most locations, they will say, hey, we want to carry your brand, but we want you to make a unique 6-inch version that only gets carried in Trader Joe's. And that allows Trader Joe's to manipulate pricing without affecting the brand in and of itself, but then they also get the advantage of having the exclusivity for that. Right. So that is a unique SKU, or said differently to eliminate any type of confusion. A unique SKU is literally every unique version of a product. So the best way to think about this is think about t-shirts. Think about a Ralph Lauren polo, right? It's not just a specific style of Ralph Lauren polo, but it's every version that you would have to ask a manufacturer for. You can't just say, give me a bunch of polos for my store. You have to say, hey, I want 5 red polos and 10 black ones and 4 white ones. And also, out of those 10 black ones, can 5 of them be small? Can 2 of them be medium? Can 3 of them be large? That is a unique SKU, right? Think about that level of specificity. Now, why is that relevant here? Because what you can do is create a unique SKU of your own product and then only discount that, because now the perception is controlled within the SKU in and of itself. You don't have to impact the primary product, the brand in and of itself. Think about it similar to the tier strategy where you're only discounting the basic tier, but you're not discounting the enterprise or business pro tier of a software, right? I might say, hey, I have this coaching program and usually it costs $5,000. However, I'm going to create a $500 version of a course that we're going to participate in for a 6-week period for the new year so everybody can start on the right foot. And then I'll heavily promote that I have this so I can fill up the $600 tier. But again, people know that it was only that special thing, that special product, a unique version of the larger staple product that you have, but it still is not that product. They know they are losing things, that they know that there might be different methods of delivery. Maybe the primary product is evergreen. Maybe this product is live and only done over a specific period of time. Maybe you're doing an in-person version. Maybe you're doing a digital version for people who cannot make it to the event. So now they have access and it's for less money. But when you do stuff like that, you really have to make sure you don't deteriorate things where people say, well, I'm just not going to go because it's less money, less time. Why don't I just start paying for the cheap digital version of the event? You have to be very good at making sure you can clearly delineate the value of the primary asset versus these byproducts that you're benefiting from. Let's get to number 10, future value. This is basically when you reward a decision made today with a future benefit. You see stuff like this at car dealerships all the time where they say, hey, if you buy the car today, you'll get $500 off of your first maintenance visit, or you'll get a free oil change. They don't receive that benefit immediately. They receive it sometime in the future. It's some level of credit. And then the cool thing about it is it creates some level of commitment, right? We're talking about brand compounding by how we actually do these deal frameworks, right? Now you are getting the people to come back to the movie theater, come back because you said, if I spend $75 at the snack bar, you're going to give me 2 movie tickets. And now I'm back at the movie, spending more money at the snack bar. It's a great opportunity, and a lot of people mess this up when they just give incentives that are completely unrelated to their product. If you sign up for my email list, I'll give you a free iPad, or I'll give you $1,000. Anybody can sign up for that. Things like that don't work out well, but this, when done correctly, increases the behavioral commitment and relationship with your company. And last but not least, we have price anchoring using premium contrast, meaning you show somebody something expensive and then you show them the price that they'll receive it for. And a lot of times for this, you don't necessarily have to do a discount. This is similar to when you have tiers in the first place, right? It's like, oh, I get more value. I understand that there's these tiers and I'm going to choose the one that applies to me. But the difference is you might not have tiers present as a part of your core strategy, right? You go to certain websites and they show you tiers. Do I want a small, medium, or large coffee? But in many cases, people might not be aware of your tiers. So you are specifically and strategically making them aware of your value in other places to then contrast it. We would use this all the time in the first marketing and consulting agency that I scaled and exited, where we would show deals of what we offered enterprise clients to say, hey, this is literally how much we get when we serve these clients. It's true. And because of that, that creates a value, knowing that that's what we get paid by somebody. Somebody validated our value. Now you only have to pay this much. So this is an indie deal, or this is a solo founder deal, or this is my civilians deal, whatever you want to call it, right? But the idea is this is the bigger level, the upper tier, and people understand that people on this level are validating me, willing to pay me this much money. And I know that you might not have that much money, or I know that your circumstances might not need as heavy as a lift. So I'm going to create this special deal for your case. So this isn't about just premium pricing. It's premium positioning that validates that paying this little to be able to have access to you or to consume your product is not only probably a good deal or a decent deal, more importantly, it's based off of some sense of real value. Because you can always just put a bunch of tiers in front of people and let people choose based off of what makes sense for them. But when you truly clarify that this is what you get paid at this tier, then it actually gives whatever other price you're trying to charge a real foundation to stand on. And that's extremely helpful for info-based products and even services where there's not a clear ROI that people can see. People also do this in a way where they might say, hey, I made this person this much money, and I'm not saying that I will make you that much money, but I am giving implication of value. It's a similar type of thing, which brings me to the fact that there's so much overlap between all of these. It really comes down to the messaging that you're focused on for the positioning, because sometimes you will have a unique SKU stacked with a premium anchor, stacked with a time-based constraint. You can stack those things and it becomes even stronger. but I wanted to speak on these in isolation so you can understand the elements and then stack 1, 2, or 3 whenever they're relevant for you. And again, I said this at the very beginning of this video. Hopefully, if you like this video, if you made it this far, please subscribe. And I will plan to do more because I'm already doing these types of videos for my clients. But it does take a little bit of extra energy to do it for YouTube. So it'll be nice to know that folks are looking and they desire it. And after you subscribe, please write a comment as well. Let me know if there's anything that you like specifically about this.